Arun, it was, you were sharing with me this morning. You spent a few hours over 2 days with our Udhbhavaha team, and you observed also what was happening in that school. And you had some very nuanced observation to share with me. When we talk about stepping out of the mainstream, Udhbhavaha people have done that. They have stepped out. They were all working in the mainstream with Mindtree, and they took a decision, a very bold and courageous decision, to move out, leave their comfort zone, leave the very secure job, a well-paid job, and venture into uncharted, sort of not knowing where they're going and not knowing what will happen. So I give full marks for that to the entire team. And we have been sort of witnessing that journey. And we are quite happy with what is happening. But this, what you said in the morning, is perhaps I look at it as a milestone in the journey. But what I feel is that what needs to be seen is that, and I think you mentioned this, there's a streak of idealism somewhere over there. And I am of the firm opinion that idealism is only an idea. And when I'm saying an idea, I'm talking in terms of J. Krishnamurti's terms, that it is not based in reality. So idealism has no space. If we look at it, I look at things as one part of reality is the eternal reality, the world of being, which is eternal, which is based in truth, which is just so. And the other part is this transient world that you and I live in, which is the world of doing, the world of the manifested world, which is in the transient, it's transient, it is transitory. This reality keeps changing. Now, we have to deal with both of them. At least the transient reality we have to, by force, we have to deal with. Whether we are aware of the eternal reality or not is not necessary. If we are aware, it is good. If we are not aware, even then, kaam chalta hai. Now, the thing is that I was talking of idealism, that in the world of eternal reality, there is no alternative. It's just so. There is no choice there. The choice is with us whether we understand it the way it is or we don't understand it, or we understand it in a different way from the way it is. But that doesn't change the reality. The reality remains the same. So in that sense, there is no choice there. It is just so. So there is no question of idealism. Idealism only, the very fact that you say that this is idealistic or this is the ideal way of doing things, ideal falls in the realm of doing. It is not part of the realm of being or the realm of eternal truth, because there is just no alternative over there. In the realm of doing, there are several alternatives, various ways of doing the same thing, various alternative opinions, various ways of thinking. These are all, there are options over there. Right or wrong is another matter, but there are always options here. And in this option, you choose one of the options and you will say, this is the most ideal solution, or this is the ideal solution, because there's a choice. So in the field of eternal, there is no choice. In the field of doing, there is a choice. Now, the question is, there is always, and this is also a fact, that there's always a difference. There's always a gap between the eternal, what you can think, and what you end up doing. There's always a gap. It's a different matter whether the gap is big, wide, or it is a very narrow, very small gap. But the gap is always going to be there. Also, because this is the world of doing is a transient world, which is a changing world. Therefore, there is no question of one particular thing, of one particular way of doing, which will be forever. One particular way of doing thing, even if it's the best way of doing thing, will be valid, will be best only for a short period of time. That short could be one day, or it could be a few years, or it could be a few centuries, but it is still limited in time, right? There is no permanency in the realm of doing. So when you get into this trap of thinking in terms of idealistic way of doing things, you are actually becoming rigid. You are saying that this is the only way, this is the best way to do, and this is the best way forever. I mean, this is somewhere you may not say it, but this is the assumption that you are making. So therefore, I don't think there is a space for idealism. You can talk about what is the best way of doing things, but idealism is something that needs to be really understood. And once you understand, you know that this is not based in reality, but it is an imaginary idea. So it is possible because people who step out of the mainstream, there is one commonality between all the people. Different people are doing different things when they step out. Some people are doing farming, some people are in education, some people are in different kinds of livelihood, some people are into forestry, horticulture, whatever. But one thing is common, that the very fact that they stepped out was because they were not very happy with the mainstream and whatever was happening around them. And they, whichever way they saw it, and they thought that there's a different way of living and being, and we need to step out. Therefore, we need to step out. Therefore, they stepped out. So they are definitely people who are a little more sensitive to their surroundings, to themselves, to the pressures which they find being exerted on themselves from the surroundings. And they were not happy with that. And therefore, they stepped out. They also are people with a little bit more courage than the others to be able to leave their comfort zone, right? But what happens is once you step out, then a certain loneliness is something which you will have to face. Because till the time, whether you are happy or unhappy, you are in the mainstream, you have an ecosystem and you are familiar with that ecosystem, your friends, your relatives, your colleagues. And you may or may not agree with them all the time, but there is a certain comfort level in the relationships. Now, when you step out, then you become a sort of a different person, because you are now saying that I am going to lead a different kind of a life. And that entails a lot of other things. Your value systems change, your way of dealing with various aspects change. And all this disturbs the earlier relationships that you were having when you were in part of the mainstream. And this makes you a little lonely. Sometimes you feel isolated. And to fill that void, what happens is that you may start enjoying the fact that you are doing something different, and the attention which you get because you are doing something different helps take you forward. But this is a trap, because this is very, very directly related to individualism, which is the basic problem with mainstream. Today's mainstream is all about individualism. So when you step out, if the same issue continues with you of individualism, of the attraction of drawing attention to yourself and seeking some kind of a popularity and enjoying that popularity, it could be something very dangerous unless you are aware of it and you are doing something about it. You are working to resolve this issue. Then it's fine. But if you are if you're not even aware of it, and you get sucked into that, that space where you start enjoying the attention that you get because of the fact that you have stepped out, then it is detrimental for your progress. And when I say progress, I don't mean in material terms, but I mean in terms of more of in spiritual terms, or in terms of personal growth, of ultimately to reach a stage of freedom, complete freedom. I mean, I rather use the word swatantrata, not freedom in the modern terms. So, but this is possible. This happens. I've seen this happening with a lot of people. When they step out, they become and see, again, one thing, that idealism is very attractive, because then you become righteous, that this, what you are doing is right, and the others are wrong, kind of a thing. And this self-identity that I'm doing the right thing, and which is getting me attention, the reward is the attention that you are getting, that is the trap. Now, this righteousness is can be detrimental, because it stops you from changing with the times, improving what you're doing, seeing more and more connections, because you tend to become very complacent and therefore very rigid. So this is something that should be pointed out, I think, to people who are in this process of stepping out. But it can be, if it's a temporary phase, it's fine. But if one gets stuck in it, then yeah, something needs to be done. It's very clear to me that we are not the ultimate doers, we are only a nimitta karan. We are not the upadan karan. It's very clear. We make an effort. That effort makes a difference in whatever happens, certainly. This is how I see it, that my doing makes a difference in what is unfolding. But what is unfolding is not because of me. It's also because of me. This is very clear. And this, if you pay attention, perhaps this can, everyone can see it. This is a fact. This is part of what I call eternal truth. This is so. Now, if you can see this, then again, you cannot get attached to the results of your doing, because the results of your doing are not because of you only. It is something which has unfolded and you have played one part in it, a very small part in it. So to get to start assuming that this is because of you, it has happened because of you, is misleading, and it can take you somewhere else. Again, this gets, if you start thinking like that, then this gets linked with the desire, to own what has happened. And because you own what has happened, therefore the attention that you get, you lap it up. If you understand that this has happened, it's not happened because of you, then the attention that you get, you take it with a pinch of salt. You don't give it too much importance. At least you try not to give it too much importance. So all these things are linked, this sense of doership, the individualism, this desire for popularity or to be known, and idealism. This is something that all people who are trying to step out have to pay attention to. We stop making a distinction between being and doing all the time. So one is where I'm coming from, what is my understanding about things, how I see reality, am I able to see the truth? And once I see the truth, there are ways to find out whether I'm actually seeing the truth or I'm assuming it to be something. Uh, but once you see the truth, then you can be completely confident that yes, this is so. This is one. But this is in the realm of, this does not fall in the realm of doing. When you start taking your doing very seriously, or what you have done very seriously. See, I again want to make a distinction between taking oneself very seriously and taking the work that you are doing at that a particular moment very seriously. So the work that you're doing at the moment seriously is good. But taking yourself very seriously is to be, questioned. Unless we know who we are, we don't know who we are, really speaking. So to take ourselves seriously will mean that we are taking all our baggages seriously, right? We are all a bundle of a lot of baggages, right? A whole lot of psychological issues are over there. We can't take those, we can be aware of them. We may not be aware of them, but we at least know that there are those things. Where are we coming from? And to take something which is unreal seriously is problematic. So people who are idealistic, I think, end up taking themselves very seriously. And that is the problem. If you take the work you are doing seriously, that's fine. But that is in the moment. Whatever you're doing at the moment, you're doing it with all sincerity and with all full responsibility and commitment. But doing something in the present is different from what has been done. I'm doing something, and a result of that doing, and a lot of other things known and unknown which have contributed in that doing, and something has resulted. That result is something which is fixed. What I'm doing in the present is not fixed. It's in the flow of, it's in the present, and it's in the ever present. It's in a continuous process. But what the result is done, and that's the end of it. So it immediately goes into the past. It doesn't remain in the present. Now, to get stuck with what has been done, or to get stuck with what has happened, is problematic. To get stuck with the past is problematic. To be in the present is fine. So doing, as far as it is in the present, is fine, to take that seriously. But not to the result, because the result happens and it goes into the past immediately. So it's gone. So that is the distinction that needs to be, this whole exercise is all about awareness, I feel. Awareness at various levels. We use this word awareness, but I think that, I wonder how much do we think about what does awareness mean? Awareness has so many different aspects that once you start paying attention, then you realize that it's an infinite domain, infinite aspects that you can be aware of. And the more the dots that you connect, the more, the richer you become, because you see the interconnectivity between various aspects. It entails a certain kind of detachment too, with whatever happens, because you realize it's happened in that moment. So many factors came together and something happened. You cannot fully take credit for it, number one. And you have to be, and if you don't take credit, then what do? You be grateful. You can be grateful to whatever happened. Instead of taking full credit, the reality is that you need to, that is the best emotion to invoke in you. It gets invoked. You don't have to do anything about it. If you realize that there were so many other factors which were playing a role in that unfolding, which is happening, and you can rejoice in it. Of course, you can rejoice in it. If that was your intention, that something like this should happen, then if that has happened, good, you can rejoice in it. But don't take full credit. Be grateful. That is the logical outcome of this. And another thing is that when you when you see it like this, then there is no question of idealism here. Because the next time you do something, it will be different, it will never be same. I mean, you may be running, let's say, a school for n number of years, and you may be sitting in a class and something happens and you feel, oh, wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful what has happened. But it's very difficult to recreate it. In fact, there's no point in trying to recreate it. That naturalness, the spontaneity is also a part of this, what we are talking of. This effort, idealism entails effort. The best situation is where it's effortless, what is happening. I sit with my wife to chant in the morning, and I often wonder, how this happens. The chanting is in a language I don't understand. I don't know the meaning unless I read the book again and again. Then I sometimes get some meaning. But when I'm chanting, I don't know the meaning. It's in a foreign language. But it's a 5-minute thing, and each word is different from the other. There's no repetition. But because I have memorized it, I just have to intend that, okay, I'm going to recite this. And it just comes out of my mouth, effortlessly. I am again and again looking at this phenomena, what is happening. How does it happen so smoothly, so effortlessly, without my really doing anything? My only thing is I'm intending, sankalpa, that I'm going to do this now. But the rest of it just follows, And I sometimes wish that my entire life was like that. Won't it be beautiful? You just intend and the rest of it, let it happen. You are not really doing, In grammatical terms, yes, I'm doing. But in reality, it's only happening. I'm only intending. And a lot of other things are happening because my voice, how it's coming out, how I'm breathing, all this is happening on its own, and it may not happen because I'm not the doer. So I think that is the way I would like to see anything in life, And probably this is the best way to live, that you live this is spontaneity for me, So, we should be talking about people who are in the process of stepping out or who have stepped out. I think we need to talk with such a crowd if they are interested and dwell on these there's no right or wrong. It's only a question of the process that we can talk about. ये हो सकता है अरुण, मुझे लगता है कि इतना मुश्किल भी नहीं है अगर थोड़ा सा पे अटेंशन करें. Of course, chanting a mantra, this is very easy. But supposing I am or driving a car also, probably, driving a bicycle, driving a car, riding a motorcycle, or something like that. This can happen, what we are talking. But let's say if I am talking right now, now, or I'm talking to this, of course, it's easier here because it's just you and me. But supposing it's a larger group, supposing there's a group of students and I'm talking, how do I ensure that I am spontaneous? So I feel that one of the things that is necessary is to be honest to yourself. And this honesty I'm talking of, when I use the word honesty, I'm talking of authenticity. I'm talking of sincerity. I'm talking of self-reflection altogether. That all of these things, these are different words indicating different aspects of reality. All these things together, if I'm aware of all this, that am I being authentic? Am I being honest? Am I being sincere? Am I doing self-reflection? Then I think it is possible that the words which come out are almost a spontaneous flow. So all these things that I'm talking of, authenticity, sincerity, etc., they are all part of being, not part of doing, right? And doing is the words coming out of my mouth. So the doing bit can be spontaneous if you pay attention to the being part and you are sincere there. I'm just thinking aloud.